You can be an interesting, intelligent, even successful man. But if your first words to a woman are generic or low energy, she'll forget about you in minutes. Your first verbal impression is like the business card of your presence. It doesn't matter how stylish you look if you sound insecure or bored. What you say in the first 30 seconds can open the door to a real connection, or close it forever. A woman feels that, even if she's not aware of it. And it doesn't have to be anything over the top. Sometimes, a simple sentence said with conviction already makes an impact. Instead of a plain, "Hey, how are you?" say something like, "You have an intriguing vibe. Tell me something about you that most people don't know." That breaks the pattern and shows you have genuine curiosity. You're not there just to fill silence. You're there to connect. That kind of sentence grabs her attention because it's unexpected. Men who speak with presence convey something beyond words, masculine energy, clarity, and intention. And that doesn't depend on looks or status. It comes from internal posture. Picture a man looking her in the eyes and calmly saying, "You seem like a woman who knows what she wants. I like that." That line, delivered with calm confidence and a slight smile, makes her pause, because it triggers something emotional, almost instinctual. That's the language of a confident man. Now, if you start with neutral phrases, seeking approval or justifying yourself too much, she'll pick up on that. She'll feel like you're just another guy trying to please, and women don't get involved with someone who looks like they're begging for attention. They're drawn to those who know their worth. So next time you talk to a woman, remember this. Your first sentence needs to have an effect, an impact, something she'll remember later when she's alone thinking about you. During a conversation, a lot of guys talk too much and notice too little. The question isn't whether you're saying something interesting, but how she's reacting. Is she keeping eye contact, really engaging with what you're saying, or just replying with "yeah" while looking at her phone? Paying attention to these details shows you if there's a real connection, or if you're just talking to yourself. Conversation isn't performance, it's exchange. Now think with me. When was the last time you asked a question that made a woman stop and reflect? Great example would be, what do you value most in a man that no one usually asks you about? That question shows depth. You take her off autopilot and invite her into the kind of conversation that's rare these days. And when you trigger that kind of reflection, she starts seeing you as someone different. A lot of men want to seem interesting but forget to spark interest on the other side. When you ask good questions, you're saying, "I care about really getting to know you." That's not flattery, it's emotional intelligence. Women can tell when they're truly being listened to, and that makes them let their guard down. If you want her thinking about you later, start by making her think about herself now, because of you. Drop a comment below. What's the most powerful question you've ever asked a woman that got a surprising answer? Share your experience in the comments. It might help other guys who are trying to build deeper connections. And if you've never asked a question like that, maybe it's time to change the game. Predictable men are forgotten. Men who create anticipation are remembered. When you make a woman curious, she starts imagining, fantasizing, and replaying your last words in her mind. That happens because the female brain responds more intensely to anticipation than to immediate reward. The difference is in not giving everything away at once, but leaving clues, like a game where she wants to uncover the ending. You can apply this simply in your conversations. For example, by saying, "Something happened yesterday that really reminded me of you, but I can't tell you just yet." Boom! You've triggered curiosity. She might smile, change the subject, pretend not to care, but she'll spend the rest of the day wondering what it was. And if you keep the mystery going long enough, she'll check her phone, waiting for the follow-up. This isn't a trick, it's pure psychology. This kind of communication taps into the emotional part of the brain. And when a woman feels that you have the power to make her curious like that, you become different from 99% of other men. So avoid long explanations or obvious compliments. Instead of saying, "You're beautiful," say, "There's something in your eyes I haven't figured out yet." That not only creates impact, it keeps her thinking about you, even after the conversation ends. Creating anticipation means making her look forward to the next message, the next encounter, or even the next glance. It means breaking the pattern, leaving a mark even in your absence. And the more you master this dynamic, the more she'll associate you with sensations she can't quite explain. And that's exactly where real emotional attraction begins. Silent, intense, and hard to ignore. When a woman shares something, she's not testing your intelligence. She's testing your sensitivity. She wants to feel that you understand what she feels, even if you don't agree with everything. And that's the point. Validation doesn't mean agreement. It means recognition. A simple, "it makes sense you feel that way," can completely shift the energy between you. That's when the emotional barrier starts to fall. Imagine she talks about a stressful day at work. Most men try to solve it, give advice, or change the subject. The guy who truly connects says, "Sounds like it was a tough day. I'd feel the same way." Boom. She relaxes. Because she realizes you're not trying to fix anything, you're just being there for her. And for the female mind, that's a sign of emotional maturity. A rare thing, and extremely attractive. That kind of validation creates a safe space. And when a woman feels emotional safety, she allows herself to show more of who she really is. You become the man she can be vulnerable with. And that's priceless. Because while others are still trying to impress, you're already building connection. You stay in her mind, not because you were the funniest or the best looking, but because you were the most real. Use this power wisely. Instead of always chasing the perfect line, be present enough to notice what she isn't saying. Often the emotion lies in the subtext, in the silences, in the pauses. If you can sense and validate that, she won't just remember you with her mind. She'll remember you with her heart. And that's when the game completely changes. Being physically present is not the same as being emotionally available. Most men listen just waiting for their turn to talk. Very few truly listen with the intention to understand. A woman picks up on this in the little things. The eyes that wander, the automatic reply, the lack of pause to actually absorb what she just said. Being a present man means quieting your internal noise and putting your full attention in the moment. With her quality presence carries weight. Imagine an ordinary dinner, nothing fancy. Now imagine that same dinner where you're tuned into her gestures, her expressions, her stories. You don't even need to compliment her. The way you listen already shows how much she matters. That kind of presence leaves a mark because it's rare. In a world full of distractions, being a man who pays attention is unforgettable. Men too, caught up in their own ego, trying to come off as something, fail at this. The real difference lies not in trying to impress, but in noticing. Picking up that her tone changed when talking about her family, that she hesitated before sharing something personal, that she slipped an emotionally loaded sentence into the middle of casual conversation. A woman feels when she's being seen in the details, and that creates a bond that's not easily broken. Being present isn't about intensity, it's about depth. You could be sitting in silence, but if your attention is fully on her, that's worth more than 1,000 words. When she leaves the date or ends a call and thinks, "He really listened to me," that's when you start taking up space in her mind. Not because you said something amazing, but because you made her feel seen. And that means more than any clever line. Women don't just connect through what you say, but through the intention behind every word. When a man uses the right language, with a subtly suggestive tone, he activates areas of the brain tied to pleasure and anticipation. It's not about being vulgar or too direct. It's about sparking the imagination. A well-placed sentence can plant the thought, what did he really mean by that? For example, instead of complimenting something obvious, say, "There's something about the way you carry yourself that intrigues me. I haven't quite figured it out yet." That makes her think of you long after the conversation, trying to decode your mystery. Unlike typical compliments, this approach puts you in the space of light provocation. It's like casting a subtle lure and watching the interest grow over time. The more open to interpretation the message is, the stronger the effect. This kind of communication is magnetic because it challenges. Women enjoy being deciphered, but they also love feeling like they have to decipher you. So when you use ambiguous expressions with a slight smile, she'll want to know more. A great example would be to say with calm confidence, "You've got a charm that I imagine could be dangerous in certain situations." Boom. Emotional tension created, without being explicit. Avoid falling into the trap of saying too much or over-explaining. Desire grows in the space between what's said and what's left in the air. Be the man who sparks curiosity with an unexpected line, a steady gaze, a well-timed pause. These micro-actions trigger sensations even she can't quite explain, but she'll associate them with you. And the more she thinks about what you might have felt, the more she'll want to feel it too. Most men are so focused on impressing that they forget how to become desirable. But the real game begins when you flip the dynamic. Instead of seeking her approval, you make her wonder if she is interesting enough for you. That value reversal activates an instinct, often unconscious, the desire to win the attention of someone who clearly has options. This doesn't mean being arrogant or distant. It means showing that your life is already full, and any woman who steps into it should add to it, not fill a void. A practical example. Instead of ending a conversation with, "It was great talking to you," try saying, "I really enjoyed our chat. Now I'm curious whether you're always like this or just when you want to impress someone." The line is light, playful, and carries a subtle challenge. This kind of statement plays with the ego while keeping things fun. You shift the focus off yourself and onto her, giving her the task of keeping your interest. That creates a powerful emotional reversal, where she starts thinking about what she can do to keep being seen as special. It's not about playing games. It's about stepping outside the ordinary and showing up as a high-value man, something few women come across these days. Ending the conversation with this kind of energy leaves a mark. You don't end it trying to secure the next date. You end it by awakening her desire to keep the story going. And when the final impression is one of curiosity, challenge, and presence, she'll think of you before she goes to sleep, and probably when she wakes up. Because you weren't just another guy. You were the one who flipped the script without even trying, just with presence, intelligence, and intention.